Now to the latest campaign controversy for Donald Trump as Trump defends his campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, who is charged with misdemeanor battery, I should say, after allegedly assaulting a female reporter at a campaign event earlier this month. Trump even doing a mock dramatic reading of the reporter's claims at last night's town hall.
Listen to this. I almost fell to the ground, which is untrue, but was able to maintain my balance. He had no trouble with her balance because it's right on tape. Nonetheless, I was shaken. Campaign managers aren't supposed to try to forcefully throw reporters to the ground. She didn't go to the ground. She didn't even have an expression on her face.
Well, this video was released by police of a primary night news conference on March 8th. It comes from Trump's own surveillance camera. You can see reporter Michelle Fields walking with Trump, and then Lewandowski apparently grabs her by the arm and pulls her back. That contradicts what Trump and Lewandowski said in the past, both claiming Lewandowski never touched Fields. Lewandowski calls the reporter delusional in a tweet. According to Florida law, battery is touching someone against their will. Trump says he is fully backing Lewandowski and that he's absolutely innocent. Joining us now, John Hart, GOP strategist and editor at Opportunity Lives. Jessica Tarlov, Democratic pollster and strategist and senior political strategist at Schoen Consulting, I should say. John, how much of an issue, I mean, the stories seem to have changed here. How much of an issue do you see it being for Trump's campaign?
Well, John, I think it's a very big issue. I think what we're seeing is Trump is digging himself a hole he may not be able to get out of. And this is damaging on lots of levels for Trump. Look, what he's doing is writing the script for the other side's attack ads. The attack was already going to be that Trump's a bully. He's been critical of women. He's been bullying women. So here you have his campaign manager physically assaulting a female reporter. And even if Corey is not convicted of this, we know that Trump and Corey both lied about it. So we have a situation where if a candidate lies during the campaign, he's going to lie as president. If he tries to cover up something as a candidate, he's going to lie as president. And if he attacks the First Amendment as a candidate, he'll do the same as president. So it's a big, big problem for Trump. And he's not helping himself by defending Corey in the way he's doing it and then mocking Michelle Fields.
But, Jessica, I've seen, big problems for Trump, come and go, what, a dozen times now? Things that were going to...
I think way more than a dozen.
All right, well, they were going to mean the end of his campaign, and, people kind of shrugged it off.
I think there will always be core Trump supporters who are not going to be moved by any of this. But we saw just in the last week how high his unfavorables have gotten. We have 73% of women have an unfavorable view of him. He's underwater with millennials, with black voters, with Hispanic voters, kind of every category that you need to win a general election. And I think that John is completely correct that this was mishandled. And, part of Trump's appeal, actually, I'd say the core prong of his appeal is that he's a real guy, right? He tells it like it is. He's not PC. And real people apologize. They take responsibility for errors and they admit fault. I think this is, part of the reason, actually, that so many religious people have embraced Trump, and they've said, oh, okay, he thought this in the past, but he's changed his ways. That's okay. We can forgive him for this. In the face of video evidence that she was at least touched by Corey Lewandowski, and obviously we don't know what's going to happen, it would really behoove him to stand up there and just say, you know what, I can say that I was wrong about this, and I'd like to move past it. And, Michelle, in the first place, said, I just wanted an apology. And he basically dared her to press charges, so she did. So this falls at his feet. It's going to continue to look bad. And now it's 2 weeks of wasted campaigning for him. Last week with the Heidi Cruz mess, and now this week with what's going on with Michelle Fields. And
neither one of those two issues, John, I would think particularly endears him to female voters who, last I checked, were about 53% of the voting population.
No, that's exactly right. It undermines Trump's brand, not just with female voters, but with voters at all levels. Look, he has branded himself as the outsider anti-establishment candidate. So the issue with Corey isn't just that he should be fired, is that he never should have been hired in the first place. I spent a lot of years working with Tom Coburn on the issue of earmarks. We successfully got rid of earmarks, things like the Bridge to Nowhere, pork projects, etc. And Corey was actually on the wrong side of that. He was working for Bob Ney, who is a part of the Abramoff scandal. Bob Ney went to prison, and Corey actually argued that Bob Ney shouldn't be punished. So here you have Trump running as the anti-establishment candidate, hiring as his campaign manager someone who was at the heart of one of the most important corruption scandals in the past 20 years. So the campaign manager is supposed to be the poster boy for reform, the poster boy for getting things under control, but he's really the poster boy for corruption and abuse of women. So again, we'll see how this shakes out, but it's not been going terribly well for Trump, and it's not going to go away anytime soon.
I want to stick with you, John, for this question because you're the Republican representative on this panel. When you look at the history of Republican conventions where, nobody got the nomination on the first ballot. I mean, Trump says there's going to be a riot if that happens in Cleveland in July. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's grossly irresponsible, and I would tell the Trump campaign and supporters is to stop complaining and start winning. Look, if Trump goes to the convention with a majority of delegates, he will be the nominee. But if things go as they've been going and 63% of voters want someone else, I would argue a contested convention reflects the will of the people. It reflects what Republican voters think. And what they think right now is that Donald Trump is unfit to be our nominee. And his behavior with the Corey scandal and so many other issues, I think, is giving validity to those concerns.
All right. Jessica, I owe you an extra question the next time because we are out of time.
I'll remember that, John.
We will have you back for sure. Jessica Tarlov, John Hart, thank you both.